I need a volunteer, preferably someone in elementary school. Not an elementary school teacher, like you're a student in elementary school. Do I have any elementary school kids? Who's volunteering over there? I can't see real well. Come on up. I can see you better. Come on, tell me your name. Braxton? Come on up, buddy. How are you? Give Braxton a round of applause. What grade are you in, Braxton? Second grade. Okay. Do you have like science in school? Do you have to do science? Do you like it?
Yeah.
Pretty fun? Okay. So I've got a little bit of like a science experiment here that I need your help with, okay? It's pretty simple what I want you to do. I want you to take this water and I want you to put it in that vase. Can you do that? They're paying a lot of attention. You know, they don't pay this much attention to me, Braxton, when I'm talking. Like, you've got them right where you want. So, now you're hesitating. Why are you hesitating a little bit?
Because the vase is full, and if I put too much water, it would overflow.
Oh, it's going to overflow. That's a problem. So, how would you solve this problem? What would you do so that you could put more water in that vase?
I would grab a bigger one.
You'd grab a bigger vase. Smart kid right here. What if you had to do it in that vase? What would you do? How could you get more water in that vase? I don't have another one.
Oh, I know.
What would you do?
You could take the rocks out, and then, because the rocks are heavier and they take up more room.
Yeah. Water displacement, right? Okay, great. Awesome. That's a great idea. Take the rocks out. Let's see what happens. Brilliant. Oh, that's good. Oh, boy, we already have a lot more room, don't we? Perfect. Now, can you see how much water you can get in there now? Oh, that's way better. Look at that. Awesome job. Good job, Braxton. Can you give Braxton a round of applause? Thank you, buddy. Awesome. Thank you for your help. So, if you've been around Aspire for the last few weeks, you may know that we're in a series called The Jesus Road. And we, in this series, talked about what it means to follow Jesus. We talked about some of the spiritual rhythms and disciplines that you could add to your life to be more like him, things like reading your Bible, praying, fasting. We talked about lots of different things that you can do to sort of put yourself in step with Jesus as you're following Jesus down the road. Now, if you've been around Aspire for a long time, you know that we have a similar conversation every year around the first of the year about the same thing. We talk about what can we do this year in order to better align ourselves with the ways of Jesus. What are those spiritual disciplines, those rhythms that we can put into our life? And we do that every single year. And here's what I've noticed in my own walk with Jesus. Like, I don't have time for more stuff. I don't need to add anything else, but there are some things in my life that I need to take out in order to make more room for time with Jesus and to be with him. So I will make a confession to you because I think one of the biggest rocks in my life has to do with technology. It has to do with all the advances that have been made in terms of smartphones and in all the ways that media and all the technology that is added to our life. And let's be honest, it has made some things about our life so much better. Even our faith, you can get your entire Bible on your phone in multiple languages. And I've been in mission fields where I've used my phone to translate for me with somebody that I didn't have a translator. So there's a lot of good about technology, but let's be really honest. It is a big rock in our life. It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of our attention. Now, I've got another confession for you. And when I came here in 2008, the iPhone or smartphones were still pretty new. They'd only been on the market about a year. And I wanted one so bad. I would go with Sherry and the kids. We'd go walk around, and there would be like an AT&T store or an Apple store or something. And I'd go in and I would look, and it was like this beautiful piece of technology. And I would play with the demo, and I would think, oh man, I want one of those so bad. But they were so expensive, and I thought, I don't need that. I don't need to add that to my life. My old flip phone is just fine. And so I went without it. In fact, one time early on, I preached a series here called I Word, and it was a series about how we communicate with God. He talks to us through his word, and we talk to him through prayer. And as an illustration, I had a pile, some of you remember this, I had a pile of phones from the oldest phone we could find, like even an old rotary phone, a crank phone, a rotary phone, all the way up. And at the very top, I had an iPhone that I had borrowed. And I made a confession. I confessed that I coveted an iPhone, but I said I didn't need one because I had Cindy. And who needed a phone to keep track of my appointments when Cindy was going to keep track of all my appointments? And everybody laughed, and everybody thought that was really funny. And then within just a year after that, I got myself an iPhone, and I've had one ever since. And here's the thing about my phone, and I'm not proud of this. I have continually had a struggle with my phone. I'm not always proud of my relationship with my phone. It pulls me out of moments way too often. Like you're just in a conversation and you feel something buzz or vibrate. And for just a split second, even if you don't pull your phone out, your attention is moved away. Like you're not completely in the moment. I feel this, and I felt this pressure for quite a while. There's too many distractions. There's too much checking emails or messages, being pulled out of moments with dings and pings and tweets and chirps. Too much information comes to me. I do not need to know as much information as is presented to me on my devices, whether it's my phone or my computer or anything else. I can know what's happening on the other side of the planet, but be totally unaware of what's happening in the heart of the person who's standing right in front of me. Anybody feel that? I do. I feel that. Now, here's the thing. I see all the rants and the ragings of people online who I respected, and slowly my respect is turned to distrust. Why? Because I heard and read things they said and things they did, and all of a sudden now I feel differently about them. Why? Because I have too much information. I don't need to know what every movie star and every athlete thinks about what's going on politically. I don't need to know that. But I do, and it's not good for my soul. It's not good for my heart. It's a big rock that is pulling me away from the people who matter most. There's no privacy with our phones. People know everything about us, and yet we're completely isolated. The same device that steals our privacy isolates us. My life is not better with a smartphone. And my guess is, if you think about the devices that have been added to your life with all their benefits, and there are many, and I'm not saying we shouldn't benefit from them. I am saying there's a lot about our phones, there's a lot about our devices, a lot about technology that is taking something away, and it's taking up valuable space in our hearts and our souls, space that could otherwise be used for people who are present with us, and most importantly, for God. I was recently, someone shared with me a psalm that they wrote to the iPhone. And I want to share this with you. We'll put it on the screen up here. This is what it says. My phone is my shepherd. I shall not want. It numbs me with a multitude of reels. It leadeth me to endless entertainment. It robbeth my soul. It leadeth me down the never-ending road of blogs, reels, and posts. Yea, while I walk the information highway, I will fear no boredom, for thou art ever with me. The videos, texts, and photos hold me hostage. Thou preparest a feast of knowledge for me. Thou fillest my heart with meaningless trivia. My cup seemeth empty. Surely vanity and comparison shall follow me wherever I go, and I shall dwell in the world wide web forever. Cheryl McLeod wrote that. I love that because I can relate to that, and maybe you can too, that I can relate to this idea of what this device that has revolutionized our world is doing to us. What is the price? So that's why today I want to invite you to go with us on a journey. And this is not about pressure. This is not about guilt. I'm not trying to shame anybody. I simply want to invite you to go on a journey that I've been on and to join us starting next Sunday for a 28-day digital fast. Now, I'm going to give you more information about what that means because some of you already are panicking. In fact, when I mentioned this first in November, some people went and already found a new church, all right? But this is not about shame, This is not unreasonable. We're not saying that you never will use your phone or never use technology at all for 28 days. But I want you to think about this, not as punishment for yourself, but not because technology is bad or because it's not useful, but because many of us need to find out exactly what it is our phones have been costing us. They've been costing us something. They've been taking up space. What is that space costing you? With relationships, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And I'm not asking you to do this forever. We're just saying we want to take these few days, 28 days, that just long enough to wake up and realize, what are these devices taking away from us? Because here is the simple truth, and you've heard me say this before. This is not new information if you've been around Aspire for a while. But you are becoming what you most frequently gaze upon. You are becoming what you most frequently gaze upon. There's a reason the hymn writer said, turn your eyes upon Jesus. Because whatever it is you are focused on the most is the thing that is shaping you the most. It is discipling you. The question is it making you more like Jesus, or is it making you more like something else? 2 Corinthians, Paul said in 2 Corinthians 3:18, that we are being transformed from one degree of glory into another, into the image of Jesus as we gaze upon him. Romans 12:2 that we read earlier warns us about being conformed to the pattern of this world, but instead being renewed, transformed by the renewal of our mind. Psalm 115:8 says, those who make idols become like them. What is the psalmist saying? The psalmist is saying, you will become what you are most focused on. So for people who make idols, they become like the idol they make. Now, we think about idols. You might think of something carved in wood or stone or a precious gem. But let me tell you something. There are idols, and idols aren't necessarily bad things. In fact, the most dangerous idols are good things that we make ultimate things. So your job can be an idol. Your kids can be an idol. Your church can be an idol. These are all things that may be good, but when they go from being good to being the most important thing, they have immediately become an idol. This is true of our devices. Are they bad? No, they're not bad. But have they become an idol for us? Many of them have. And here's what the psalmist is saying. Those who make idols become like them. In other words, this virtual world that is sucking us into it is making us less human as we gaze upon it more and more. John Mark Comer said this, what you pay attention to is the person you become. What you pay attention to is the person you become. A.W. Tozer said, we become what we contemplate. So the question is, where are you spending all of your attention and your time? Your devices and your screens that stare back at you are actually discipling you. They're shaping you. And many of us are being discipled in the wrong direction. So I want to take a look at one verse of Scripture that will be our theme verse for this entire series. Because while you're thinking about this and you're thinking this very modern dilemma that we are facing, it is not a new problem. It is not a new situation. Because long before the invention of any smartphone or technology at all, Jesus warned us that we have an enemy. And that this enemy has a plan. And this plan has been executed throughout the centuries in many, many different ways. And this enemy is still executing this plan today because now he has a digital playbook. And he revealed this to us in one sentence. So I invite you to look with me at John chapter 10, verse 10, just one verse, and we're going to take this apart as we consider what Jesus warned us about. Here's what Jesus said. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy, but I have come that they may have life and have it abundantly. Now, Jesus is talking to his disciples, and he's saying there is a thief, and this thief has a strategy to steal, to kill, and destroy. And what's so sobering to me as I think about this verse and have prayed about this verse is how perfectly this playbook that has been around for millennia seems to describe what is happening right now in our digital age. Now, I want to look at these three words, steal, kill, and destroy. I want to look at the Greek words, and I want to look at these strategies that the enemy is using to shape our souls. So let's look at the first one. The thief steals. Now, the Greek word here is klepto. You might recognize that word, kleptomaniac. That's probably the most familiar you are with that word. But what does that mean? To steal, this Greek word doesn't mean just somebody who's stealing like they're going in and robbing a bank. That's not what it means. This is something that is done stealth. secretly, so subtly that you don't even notice something's missing. You ever had that happen? You ever had something go missing and you didn't realize it for a long time? And maybe you even think, well, maybe I lost that. But maybe it was actually stolen, but you didn't know it was stolen. It was days, weeks, months, maybe even years before you realized that something had been taken from you. In the ancient world, klepto described a kind of stealth theft that was so clever that the victims never even knew it was really happening. Something was taken, but you only noticed it when you finally needed it. Does it sound familiar? It should, because it's exactly what our phones are doing. Our phones don't just take our time, they take it secretly. They take it silently, and they are persistently robbing minutes, minute after minute after minute. There's a former Google design ethicist. It's good to know that Google has an ethicist, but he's former, notice that. Here's what he said, Tristan Harris, the tech industry is an arms race for people's attention. Think about that. What is he saying? The tech industry as a whole, Google, Apple, you name that, they're all in an arms race. And what are they racing to get? They're racing to get your attention, which means your time. Seth Godin, the author and former .com exec, said this, your phone doesn't work for you, you work for your phone. Now, listen to me, okay? I want to be very clear, because some of you here may not be Christians. You're like, here we go again, a preacher telling me what I can and can't do, blah, blah. These people are not Christians. They're not. These people are not anti-technology. These people are executives in tech companies who are saying what is actually going on. That's who they are. And here's the truth. The first theft, the first thing that the enemy steals is your attention. We lose minutes, then hours, and they slip into what one researcher called the black hole of your device. The scroll spiral is real. Here's how it goes for me. Maybe this has happened to you too. I get a text message, right? And it's important. It's my wife, and she's saying, hey, pick up something on the way home. And so I look at my text message, I give her the thumbs up, and then the next thing I know, I better check that email. So I check the email. And then the next thing I know is, what's that cute video I got sent? And then the next thing I know, that made me think of this thing I want to look into. So I go over here, and then I get trapped by a news story, and then the next thing I know, 36 minutes are gone. How did it happen? Klepto. The thief comes to steal. He steals from us. Is responding to a text message bad? No, especially when it's your spouse telling you to pick something up on the way home from work. It's not bad at all. But what happens? The enemy comes and slowly erodes and takes time, a little bit of time, a little bit of time. David understood this feeling long before there were smartphones. Here's what he said in Psalm 119:37. He prayed this, turn my eyes from looking at worthless things. Man, that needs to be our prayer. God, would you just turn our eyes from looking at worthless things? See, your attention is the most precious resource you have. It is the most valuable thing you can give your kids and give your spouse. You can't be attentive to those people, the people who mean the most to you. You can't be attentive to God or to the calling He's got on your life if your attention has been stolen away. And the thief is always starting with a very subtle attempt to just steal your attention. And the tech industry is in an arms race for your attention. They've got a strategy. My guess is you don't. Corrie ten Boom, long before smartphones, she survived the Holocaust, a great Christian thinker. She said this, the greatest danger is not that we renounce our faith. Talking to Christians now. The greatest danger isn't that we renounce our faith, but that we become so distracted and rushed that we settle for a shallow version of it. Church, listen to me. We are doing exactly what she warned us against. We have not walked away from faith, but so many of us are settling for a shallow version of it because we've been distracted and we are living rushed lives. The thief comes to steal. But the second strategy of the thief is that the thief kills. The thief kills, thuo. This means to slay. This is not just accidental murder, manslaughter. This is intentional. To take a life. It isn't just a regular killing, it's sacrificial language. So it's the kind of language that would have been used, for example, when the prodigal son comes home and the father says, go kill the fatted calf. It's a very intentional word. And Jesus says that the enemy is using that strategy. He is coming to kill. Listen to what Peter said, 1 Peter 5:8. The enemy prowls like a roaring lion seeking someone to devour. I'm just afraid we're not even aware that the enemy's prowling around looking for someone to devour. He is looking for someone to kill. So what are digital devices killing? Well, I would say most secular psychologists, sociologists, all agree as they study this, and more research is being done, but they are killing our mental health for sure. Gene Twinge, groundbreaking research revealed a shocking rise in depression, anxiety, and suicidality between the years of 2010 and 2015. In other words, you can look back from the time they started tracking this, and there's a steady line of anxiety, depression, suicidality, all of that. And when it gets to 2010, from 2010 to 2015, it goes like this. What happened in 2010? It was precisely the year that most teenagers began carrying smartphones. And this is not just a correlation. There has been research done that has proven that is causal. Multiple global studies now confirm the same heartbreaking pattern. All of these things have increased as a direct result of using smartphones, especially for the teenagers who are using them. Anxiety, depression, social anxiety, insomnia, decreased sleep, low self-esteem, increased loneliness, increased suicidal ideation. And listen, this is so important. If you are here and you have teenage daughters, granddaughters, nieces, nephews, if you've got young girls who you have any influence over them at all, please listen to this, because it is particularly traumatic among teenage girls. Since 2013, the suicide rate for teenage girls has tripled. Tripled. And I ask you, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but if anything else, if any other death rate had tripled in our society in such a short period of time, you would have heard about it by now. There would be research. There would be products being pulled off shelves. Why aren't we hearing about this? Because the enemy has a plan to kill, and he is literally killing our children. And I'm not being dramatic when I say this. When a child feels suicidal, that is a work of Satan. And Jesus told us that there would be a thief who would come to steal. You and I carry a device that can access every story, every tragedy, every trauma on the planet in seconds. And it is keeping our nervous systems in a constant state of threat, a constant state of fight or flight, comparison, inadequacy, and insecurity. And as an adult, maybe as an adult, you can handle that. Your teenager cannot. Parents, listen to me. Please listen to me, and please do not dismiss this as the words of a fundamentalist pastor who you can just dismiss because I don't live in the real world. Do not give your children smartphones until they are 16 or older. The data and the research proves that it is doing lasting damage to their cognitive development, to their emotional development, and to their ability to have relationships. I cannot say this strong enough because the dangers are real. And it is not because you are punishing them. And I know, I have kids. I know. And I had no idea of any of this research because the smartphone was so new when my kids were this age. We had no clue. And I wish somebody had warned me then what I'm warning you now. They're going to come home and they're going to say, but all my friends, and you're going to say what your grandma used to say. If all your friends jumped off a bridge, would you? And suddenly this is how we become our parents. Please hear me. I would tell you this if I weren't a Jesus follower. I would tell you this if I were a plumber. I believe this with all my heart. The thief is coming to steal and kill and destroy. Digital life doesn't just steal our attention. It is killing our peace. But there's another strategy that the thief has. The thief destroys. This word destroys means to ruin, to render useless, to destroy flourishing. The word doesn't just mean to make it disappear. The word actually means to make it lifeless, even while it still exists. Think of a zombie. And that's exactly what our phones do to us, isn't it? That this phone destroys. So what is being destroyed? There are at least three things, according to research, that our digital devices are destroying. First of all, they're destroying social and relational flourishing. There have been many research studies that have proven among Gen Z and Gen Alpha in particular, children are struggling to develop social skills, conflict management, Emotional resilience, because they spend more time in digital spaces than they do in physical spaces. What does that mean? Kids don't know how to play with each other anymore. And if you don't know how to play with another child when you're a kid, how are you going to manage as an adult? You're not. We're seeing evidence of that in society in general. People don't know how to have a conversation, a civil conversation anymore. And it is only going to be worse as generations come up who have had zero opportunity to experiment socially and relationally with just playing with another human face to face. So it's destroying social and relational flourishing. It's also destroying healthy sexual intimacy. Unlimited access to pornography, where you can get it privately and nobody has to know about it, is forming a generation that knows everything about sexual stimulation and nothing about covenant intimacy. And it's destroying marriages. I cannot tell you how many times I have heard of marriages ending because of a pornography addiction. The expectations, the identity, the emotional bonding, all of this is being destroyed as a result of what the enemy is doing with our digital devices. And finally, and most importantly of all, spiritual flourishing. We are moving farther away from intimacy with God because we are spending more and more time distracted by digital devices. Catherine Price said this: if you wanted to invent a device that could rewire your minds, reduce empathy, and create a society of people who were perpetually distracted, isolated, and overtired, you'd likely end up with a smartphone. I think she's right. I think that's exactly what you would have invented, is a smartphone. Max Frisch said this: technology is the knack of so arranging the world that we don't have to experience it. Wow. That people arrange their life so much around technology that they're not actually living it. What has happened? The thief is destroying. He's stealing, he's killing, and he's destroying. Friends, the thief is destroying life. He's destroying life in us, not just by taking things away from us, but by adding things to our lives that are actually giving us the facsimile that they're giving us what we want, but in reality, they're taking something valuable for us. They're taking away our opportunity to experience fullness in life, which brings us to an important question. What is your device costing you? And I don't mean what you pay for it on your phone bill. I mean, what is it costing you? Is it costing you relationships? Is it costing you flourishing? Is it costing your soul? Is it increasing your levels of anxiety and depression? Maybe you don't even realize that's what it is. And you're paying all kinds of doctors and counselors to give you medications or to sit with you in therapy, when really what you need to do is make your smartphone dumb, to not look at it so much. I mean, maybe you need those other things too. But the truth is, you could eliminate a lot of anxiety just by reducing the amount of time you spend on a screen. So here's the thing. John 10:10 is a pretty discouraging verse until you get to the second half. Because here's what Jesus says. He doesn't offer a strategy. He offers himself. Jesus offers us abundant life. See, the thief's plan is pretty simple. Steal, kill, destroy. But Jesus' plan is even simpler. I have come to give you something, not to take it away from you, not to destroy it, not to kill it. I've come to give you life and to give it you abundantly. Not a distracted life, not a numbed life, not a shallow life, not a scattered life, a full life, a present life, awake, joy-filled life. And here is the hard truth. Here's the hard truth. If you're not going to come back to the rest of this series, I understand. But I've got your attention right now, and there's one thing you need to know. One thing. You cannot receive the abundant life Jesus offers if you are sedated by the digital life the world is pushing. You cannot, not might not, you cannot receive the abundant life Jesus offers if you are sedated by the digital life the world is pushing. The enemy wants you numb. Jesus wants you alive. The enemy wants you distracted. Jesus wants your attention. The enemy wants you scrolling. Jesus wants you listening. Attention is the doorway to spiritual transformation. Turn your eyes upon Jesus. He wants your attention back. He wants you back. So here's what I want to challenge you to do. Take the 28-day digital fast. Not forever, not as punishment, but just as a simple experiment to see what life could look like when algorithms are not ambushing your soul. What would it look like for you for 28 days to go back in time and just be with Jesus. How do you start? Well, inside your worship guide this morning, we gave you a worksheet. Listen, this is not something that we're monitoring for you. This is something that is between you and the Lord. So whatever this looks like, some of you have said, I need my phone for work. I get it. I need my phone for work. I understand. Here's the thing we're going to ask you to do, though, is to work through this worksheet this week, answer these questions, and determine what is right for you when it comes to a digital fast. I had an email today from this week from one of our senior adults who says, I really don't use my phone very much at all, but I am on my computer quite a bit, so I'm going to look at how much time I'm on my computer. What am I doing on my computer? Whatever it looks like for you, what does it look like? Shape it so that it's helpful for you in order to make it useful. So I want to ask you to do a couple things. In this worksheet, it's going to give you a couple tips of things that you can do. First of all, make your smartphone dumb. Make your smartphone dumb. And if you think, I don't know how to do any of these things, find a teenager. I guarantee they know how to help you. In fact, I thought about asking David if we could just have all of the students just in the halls, up and down the halls, as tech support as you left. One of the things that you can do, and I've already done this, is remove social media, remove news, remove games. Yes, Wordle. I'm looking at you, Cindy Graves. Remove the browser and remove, here it comes, the shopping apps. Oh, I got a nerve. I had you through this whole sermon until I said take Amazon off your phone. I knew it. On your phone, keep only utility-based apps like your map. I need my map. I got to have a map, right? Keep your map. Keep your calendar. Keep your photos. I've got grandkids. I want to make sure I can show pictures of my grandkids. I'm going to keep my photo app. Move everything else off your phone. Put it on a laptop. Turn off notifications. You don't need every ding and ping and vibration happening in your pocket to pull your attention away. Turn all that off. Remove other screens from your life. Maybe you would take some time and say, you know what? I'm going to turn the television off. I'm going to turn gaming off. I'm going to turn digital entertainment off just for 20 days. Whatever's right for you is right. This is not me dictating to you. This is me inviting you to find full and abundant life in Jesus by taking the rocks out of the vase to make more room for Him. Limit digital technology to only work apps during work hours. In other words, all those work apps that you're keeping on your phone, when you're not working, don't look at them. Don't look at them. Pay attention to what happens. This is the most important part. When you do all this, what happens? Here's what I think is going to happen, because I've been doing this already for a little while. Here's what I do. I'll stand there and I'll realize I feel a twitch in my arm. And it goes, and it picks this thing up. And I don't want to pick it up. You're going to feel a little bit of a detox. It's okay. It's natural. This is why we're saying a 28-day fast and not a 7-day fast, because it's going to take you 7 to 14 days just to detox before you might start to pay attention to feeling the more energy, more focus, more peace, more conversation, more creativity, more patience, more prayer. One writer who made this suggestion for a 28-day fast said, at the end of the 28 days, what actually brought you life during that 28 days? What sparked joy? What deserves to be added back in? See, that's the question. At the end of the 28 days fast, not just to go back to the way it was before, but to say, what actually deserves to be added back in? Sometimes subtraction is the only path to abundance, that we have to take something out before God can put something in. So, what do you have to lose? Seriously, what do you have to lose for the next 28 days? And the question might be better phrased, what could you gain? Here's a simple truth. You are becoming the thing that you most frequently gaze upon. Your devices are discipling you. The thief is stealing, he is killing, he is destroying, and he's doing it quietly, he's doing it subtly, he's doing it invisibly, but Jesus is inviting you to something richer. Jesus is inviting you to something better, something fuller, something more alive. The question is not whether or not you can survive for 28 days without your devices. The question is, what life might you find in place of it? Let's find out together for the next 28 days. Let's wake up and turn our eyes upon Jesus.